and I'm trying to understand is that there are 5 layers which we call panchakoshas of the body. And as we know that there are 3 bodies, gross, subtle, and causal. And these 3 bodies are further divided and classified into panchakoshas, namely Annamaya, Pranmaya, Manomaya, Gyanmaya, Anandamaya kosha. In English, we call them physical, energy, mental, intellectual, and blissful body. Annamaya kosha comprises physical body, which is made of 5 elements, 5 sense organs, eyes, ears, skin, tongue, nose, 5 organs of action, speech, hands, legs, anus, genitals. And physical body, we have been given to understand, is what we get by birth. And there is a confusion which was made clear by Guruji when he said that we normally confuse I with the physical body when we say that I am the body. So self, the real self, is confused with the body, which is incorrect. Then we have been able also to understand that this physical body is energized by pranic body, known as energy body, which takes care of the distribution system through nadis. There are 72,000 channels, and that they distribute energy in the body. And then 5 pranas were mentioned: prana, apara, vyana, udana, and the last I was not able to hear properly, nana. And pranas actually function to operate the body, through which digestion is taken care of, energization, animation is taken care of, and at death, it is this pranic body which also leaves. So pranic body and the physical body both are taken away at the time of death. At this particular time, it is a question that came in my mind and I would like to put forward, that Guruji had mentioned that only subtle pranas along with inner layers move to other body. So I had not understood that what do we understand by subtle pranas here. Pranas we understood, but subtle pranas I was not able to understand. And then Guruji opined that many people think prana is me. And that is why we say that when he breathed his last, we consider that the breath was out and that is why he died. So it was made clear that prana has nothing to do with the self. Prana is only the instrument of the vehicle of self, just like the physical body. Then we understood about manomaya, which is manas, which is the mental body, and it is through the sense organs that the concepts are developed and various senses we perceive in the world, desires and the various cravings for objects. And that is the inner layer of personality. Then we were told about Gyan Maya Kosha, which is the buddhi, the intellect, which determines. So mind conceptualizes and buddhi determines. Mind is full of ignorance, it is full of so many things. So eventually it is the purified mind that is required for realization. And that can happen only when mind has become free from cravings And this can happen only with viveka. And there is a reflection of Atma in Buddhi. There is reflection of Atman in Buddhi. This is called Jiva, which migrates from one body to another body. Deep inside, then there is Anandmaya Kosha, which is blissful, and it is the same bliss that we experience in deep sleep. It is a very fine aspect of Prakriti or nature. It is a modification, but it's not Atman. Atman gets reflected in nature and is called blissful. Many of us, through ignorance, confuse that with self realization when we say, I'm very blissful, but it is not. Self is the witness of all this. Self is not associated with all this. So, reflection in the Anandamaya Kosha is called bliss. And in the end, we were told that even the bliss is not Atman. Atman is of the nature of bliss, but not vice versa. We are the Sakshi of this bliss also. This is what I understood. But there are questions that, as I just mentioned, so that is what I would like to say.
Yeah. I think very perfectly and in detail, you covered the entire talk, not leaving a single thing, and excellent understanding. So the questions part, yeah, surely we can address them during our, in the last round. Or when your turn comes to question, also you can put forward all these questions. All of us will attempt to answer that, and if you are not able to answer, we can always take forward to Guruji. Thank you, Vipinji. That was a very clear answer. Anybody wants to add anything, uh, please, you're welcome. Kaumari ji, Pubalan ji, Gomati ji.
I think no. For me, Vipinji has done the round. He has clearly mentioned all that Guruji has mentioned. So, others, if you have something to add.
Kaumari ji, I think. Kaumati ji, do you have anything to add? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I think more or less he's covered everything. So
yeah, that was a perfect coverage.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Pubalanji, I think you can take over.
Yes, the next one is Gomatiji to me.
Yeah. Hari Om, Pubalanji. I
Yes.
just wanted to ask you from the second part, the talk 11, he mentioned Satchitananda. So could you just explain? Actually, more or less it's covered, I think, in his broad explanation of the second part. So is there anything you can tell, or is it...
So what Guruji mentioned about Satchit Ananda is it's the nature of consciousness. That is, Sat, Chit, and Ananda is the consciousness. Is both of consciousness is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So what we get, the Jivatma, is we get the reflection only on that. We don't have it's always by the Buddhi which is reflected. So we get he was mentioning of the Ananda. Ananda which we have is not the true Ananda. We have something, we get the Ananda. I say the Ananda is always to the intellect. But when we realize, when a Jnani realizes, it says that it's the pure self which shines without any without any of the antakaranas, which is always called, it's binding us always. So this is what I have understood. The real self consists of the Sat Chit Ananda, the existence, consciousness, and bliss. This I am, or Guruji always says I am, the aham, the existence. But when the Brahman is outside, this is where Ishvara comes and the Maya comes into play, and then the Jivatma also get engrossed in that false identity, the false self, which we might say. So the true self is of the nature. This is the nature of Atman, which is Sat Chit and Ananda. This is what I've understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wants to add anything to this? You feel it's incomplete? So he even was mentioning that bliss is not the Atma finally, because bliss also comes on this one. Bliss also is this one Anandamaya Kosha, which is part of Prakriti. So he says when you even let go of everything, even the bliss part of it, then you come out of it, and only then Satchit Ananda actually happens. When even after meditation we have this blissful feeling. That's not the final thing. You just have to come out of that blissful sheath, which is part of Prakriti. So when we're completely out of all that, that's when the realization happens, the actual consciousness which we're supposed to get.
So Gaumati ji, when Guruji has to explain this Sat Chit Ananda, he usually asks a couple of questions. So the first thing he would ask is, you can also answer like, so Gaumati ji, do you exist? Are you, I mean, are you existing? Do you exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, you exist. That's why you are able to answer. So the second question he asks is, are you conscious?
Yeah, we should be conscious.
Yeah,
Only
you
then
are conscious. That's why you are
Yeah.
able to again respond. So you exist and you're conscious. And this need not be proven by somebody else, right? You know it by
Yeah.
yourself. You don't need your eyes, ears, or any sense organs to prove that you exist and you're conscious.
Yes.
So Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is bliss. So out of that, so you are also actually of this nature of Sat Chit Ananda, out of which Sat and Chit is something which you are experiencing every minute. Just that we don't shift our focus towards that. So you are existing and you are conscious all the time. The only part that is missing for us is bliss. So bliss is actually the exact definition of bliss in Vedanta is called as Ananda, which comes from a root word called Ananta, unlimited. So that bliss is missing in us because we feel limited by the body, mind, intellect. That unlimited Brahman has identified with this limited body, mind, and intellect. Hence, it lost its Ananda, bliss. So Sat and Chit, you're already experiencing. Ananda is what we are trying to get from Atmagnana.
Yeah.
So this is in simple words, what is Satchit Ananda, which is the nature of. So bliss, Ananda is actually called as bliss in English, but the real meaning of Ananda in Satchidananda is infiniteness is the actual word, Ananta. Brahman is infinite. So once when you drop this avidya, when the identification with the body, mind, intellect drops, so we will feel that infiniteness because we are now not limited to any body, mind, or intellect. I hope.
Yeah. The physical part, we're like not limited in some small this thing, we're unlimited. We come out of it. No?
Even the subtle is also limiting us. The physical is also limiting us. The ideas, the causal is also limiting us. So dropping all the three bodies. I mean, not dropping means not dropping. No,
Letting
the
go.
whole purpose of these three bodies or these panchakoshas is to know that you will understand that, and you will finally drop your identification with that, because they are all covering your actual nature. Atma is being covered by these three bodies or these five shats. Koshas are nothing but in a kosha is the real definition of a kosha is it's a plane of experience. So you have 5 planes of experience around your gross body. There is a gross level of experience. You have which is called Annamaya Kosha, and then you have the next level called Pranamaya Kosha, that is a slightly higher, subtler plane of experience. Then Manomaya Kosha, that is even more subtler plane of experience. Above that, a higher, more subtler plane of experience is intellect, which is Vijnanamaya Kosha, and the most subtlest and closer to Atma is the Anandamaya Kosha. These are all planes of experiences called as koshas. They are like, the picture given is the gross body is in between, and you draw a lot of circles around it. So the outermost circle is like, Anandamaya Kosha, which includes all these circles. That is in.
Yeah, no, another thing is I heard somewhere that it's not like layer. No, it's already all mixed up. If you actually see, they're one inside the other, all the energies. Is that right?
Yeah. So they are like connected, like Anandamaya Kosha includes all the other koshas. So what happens is, in your deep sleep, all these other planes of experiences shut down. And then it's where you feel bliss. The Anandamaya Kosha is what you experience. Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Gaumati, I think it's clear your question with the explanation of Gayatri. So next, we move on to the next is Vipinji to Gaumati. Gaumati.
All right. So my question to Gomati ji is that in Anandmaya Kosha, is causal body there?
You mean if this Anandamaya Kosha is the existence of causal body there?
Yes. I mean, is causal body there in Anandmaya Kosha? Can we say that causal body and Anandmaya Kosha both exist at the same time, or both are there?
As far as I know, as far as I'm aware of, I think causal body doesn't exist when there's Anandamaya Kosha, because the Anandamaya Kosha is there when the causal body is dropped. Because causal body is more, Anandamaya Kosha is more subtle compared to the causal body, which is more gross. So I think for the Anandamaya Kosha to exist, the causal body is to be dropped, otherwise they cannot exist together at the same plane. That's what I'm aware of. So I don't know if that is right. If anybody can, because the causal body is more subtle, so it's got all the vasanas, all that recorded in that level. But Anandamaya is the next level where it's much 2 levels higher, the 2 Vijnanamaya, and then above that is Anandamaya Kosha. So it's much more purer and subtle than the causal body, which has all these impurities and carries all the vasanas and all that. It exists with the subtle body. So normally Anandamaya Kosha is when you drop your causal body and you come to a higher level, which is more closer to realization than being at the causal level. That's what I understand.
Okay, Vipinji, is that clear for that explanation? Or what, somebody else can comment or? Vipinji, are you happy with the answer of Gomatiji?
I'm not very sure because in talk number 10, it was clear that we have causal body, which is the body of ignorance, and in peaceful sleep, we forget everything, we are not aware of anything, and that is the time the causal body is there. And similarly, in Anandmaya Kosha, there is deep sleep. So that is why this question arose. Can we say, because deep sleep is common in both?
But again, I think it depends on the Ajnani and Jnani. So if it's a Ajnani, then the causal body is the body of ignorance. But for a wiser person, I think it's a body of wisdom, like you mentioned. But for a layman, for a normal person, then in deep sleep you go into a body of bliss, and Jnani goes in a body of bliss all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Komariji, you also want to try to attempt the.
I was looking. Everybody, I was trying to look at my notes. Causal body or Karana Sharira is made up of Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. So for me, that's the important clarification that I have got from talk 10 and 11.
Vipinji, if you can see this picture, I think this explains a lot of things. So the we spoke about three bodies: gross body, subtle body, and causal body. So the gross body has two koshas, Annamaya kosha and Pranamaya kosha. Subtle body covers the Manomaya kosha and the Vijnanamaya kosha, and causal body is the Annamaya kosha. Anandamaya kosha. So in deep sleep, the other bodies are in dormant mode, and it's the Anandamaya kosha, which is the causal body, that is felt, experienced in deep sleep. For a Adnani. For a Gnani, in deep sleep or in waking state, he experiences only bliss as the causal body.
Okay. All right. So, yes.
So when they say that three bodies are further categorized, like these three bodies are represented as these five koshas.
So the final answer could be understood only from the perspective of Nani and Anani. Only then this concept would be clear. Yes, I do get the answer to great extent. Gomati ji was right, but now after this illustration, it has become unambiguous. Thank you.
Yeah. So anything in Vedanta, yeah, we have two perspectives, one from the seeker point of view and then the Gnani point of view. Thanks, Gomati ji, and thank you, Vipin ji. Pugalanji.
Yes, so the next question will be Purva Pakshi is Komari to Gayatri ji.
Yep.
Hari Om Gayatri Ji. So, talk 10 and 11 talk about, in fact, the continuation of talk 10, which we listened to, plus 11, talk about the three bodies. So, my question is there anything beyond the three bodies? What is your understanding of that?
From the point of view of a seeker, yes, there is these three bodies are the vehicles used by instruments used by the self. So it's the Atma, Brahman, or the self that is beyond these three bodies. And that's the reason why, we are trying to, each body and each kosha, we are trying to understand and rule out that it is not the self, it is anatma, and the self is using these instruments as vehicles. So they are not the self. So self is beyond these three bodies. If that is what is the, I mean, as far as I understood the question, this is my answer.
I will read also from Prabhuji's book, Miracle of Witness Consciousness, sharing with everybody.
Okay.
Beyond the three bodies, there is the fourth body. The fourth body is the pure awareness, divinity in us. While the gross, subtle, causal bodies belong to the individual, fourth body is universal. It is common to all beings. The purpose of self-enquiry is to discover our essential nature, the higher self, the fourth body. It is called Sakshi, the witness. I thought I'd share this because I found this very interesting.
Sakshi cannot be a body, right? How can Sakshi be a body? So it's the mind or the intellect which plays the role of Sakshi. So maybe for some, in some context, or to explain something, Guruji must have called Sakshi as a body. But otherwise, it's the pure awareness is Brahman, pure awareness is self, and that is what I know. Sakshi cannot be a body.
Well, he doesn't mention it as Sakshi being the body. Is the fourth body is the pure awareness, which is beyond the three bodies. While the
And pure awareness cannot be a body, right?
I think it's in the reference to be able to demarcate with the other.
Yeah. So for the purpose of explanation, maybe he said that, but because pure, when the moment pure awareness is said, pure awareness is something, we can say something as pure awareness, which is in double quotes without any other. So only that can be called as pure awareness. So yeah, Sakshi, yes, we can always say, because Sakshi is the one which is witnessing these three bodies. Surely Sakshi is there beyond these three bodies. But the highest, I mean, something beyond Sakshi is Brahman or the pure awareness.
Thank you, Gayatri Ji.
So we can, this is a nice question which I can always go and ask Guruji, why did you say that pure awareness is a body? So thanks, you gave me something to eat his head in the next class.
That's right. You will need the correct Purvapakshi to ask the question.
So actually, I myself read Miracle of Witness Consciousness long ago. Now that you brought this up, I surely want to go back and because he said every time you read, your understanding and your, it changes. So yes, I have to read that book. It's been a long time. Thank you.
Okay, I want to show this picture, okay? This is the one.
Wonderful. Mm.
So the fourth body is here, which he
Okay.
refers to as Turiya.
Yeah, I'll take a screenshot of that, and I know in my next class I'll have something to bother you. Thank you.
So, any other comments? Want to add something? Gaumatiji, Vipinji? Oh, it's clear.
No, that fourth body was Turiya state. I think I've heard of that Turiya state. Yeah.
Yes, right. So next, since Mamta Hegre is absent, so who want to ask Kaumariji? Anyone want to answer? So let me because Mamtaji is not there. I'll ask a question for the rest who. So, what is the at the time of death? What happens to the Pancha Pranas? Anyone can answer that.
I think first preference will be given to Kaumariji, and then we can add any inputs if required.
Yeah, Kaumatiji, if you want to answer. No, you want to. So I'm the one asking Gayatriji the questions. So since Mamtaji is there, I have to take it.
Yeah.
And so anyone, if Gomati or Vipinji want to answer that, what happens to the Pancha Pranas at the time of death?
Yeah, at the time of death, the pranic body and the physical body is taken away. Only the subtle prana is there with the inner layers. This moves to the other next body with the this one leaving behind the gross body and this one pranas, the channels of distribution. So when that happens, many people think that the prana is the self. So the person has lost his breath. Breath is last breath. So they think prana is the self, but actually prana is the instrument, the vehicle in which the self uses the prana body, the pranamaya kosha. Then the other two bodies, move to the next body. So the prana is actually nothing to do with the self action. So within the prana, you have the mental body, the manonmaya kosha. So
Okay, anyone want to add on that?
From Nani's point of view, primarily all these are concepts and nothing, no body is there. So that is one aspect of the topic which from the Nani's point of view, but from the other point of view, that the question that was asked by you, Pubalanji, that
Yes, the question was what happens to the Pancha Pranas at the time of death?
What happens to the
Pancha Pranas?
Pancha Pranas.
Yes, Pancha Pranas.
All right. So the answer that was given by Guruji was that, as Gomtiji said, the pranic body and the physical body both are taken away, only the subtle pranas along with the inner layers move to the other body. So there is a question within the question. I am not clear, Kubulanji, about what do we understand by subtle pranas and the inner layers. So when we say subtle pranas, is there anything like opposite of subtle or gross pranas also? So that is the question which is coming out of this question. That is what I have been able to understand, Kubulanji.
I will attempt this as well. I think in total from the previous talk as well, Prabhuji referred to the Pancha Pranas and explained the function of each one. I think Prana is for breath, Apana is for excretion, Vyana is for circulation. There was something about Samana, but I think the subtle prana which is being referred to at the time of death is Udana, which is the one that carries the subtle body after death of the physical body. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
No, but I didn't understand. Kumariji, did you say that? Did you tell something about subtle prana? The voice was not very clear.
Yes, Vipinji. I think in totality from the previous talk as well, Prabhuji referred to the 5 pranas, and somewhere there is the explanation about each of those pranas. I think by deduction, the prana which carries the body after death, which means the subtle body, is the Udana prana. So, in my interpretation, that would be the subtle prana which is being referred to.
Okay. So that I missed. I missed from the talk. I totally missed. Thank you very much, Kumariji. So Udana prana, you said, is the subtle one that takes the other body along. All right.
Yeah, that's my interpretation from the previous talk. Yeah.
Okay. From the previous talk. All right. Which talk are you talking about?
I think it was talk 9. I am trying to look up my notes.
All right. So I may have missed that. Okay.
So, anyone else? If I may explain what I have understood, and nothing, Guruji has not mentioned that in the talk, but the Udana Vayu exits the body just after it exits the body between 6 to 12 hours after the breath. When we stop, the breath stop, and Apana Vayu, it exits the body somewhere after that. So, and then hours after that, it's the Vyana who leaves the body. This is the slowest exit of the prana. I think Guruji is mentioning about this because the pancha prana, each one leaves the body at a particular time. So the last one to exit is the Vyana Vayu, which is the overall Vyana of the breath, and then this carries to the subtle body and the causal body, and it goes. Is the slowest exit. By this, I think Guruji is mentioning about that. Maybe we can ask. Gayatriji may ask that. This is the last Vayu which takes the Jiva to the next level in the subtle and the causal one. This is my understanding, which I've known about the pranas.
Yeah, sure. So we have gross pranas and we have subtle pranas also. The subtle pranas are like carriers of the subtle body and the causal body to the next birth. I mean, whatever. So they are required to move the subtle body and the causal body to the next body.
Yes, correct. Each one lives at a different time frame also.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, if since Guruji is also there in the group, any questions that require further clarification, If we can post it in the group, then he will be
Yes,
very
yeah.
happy to answer. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think we can do that. Vipinji, you can
Yeah, please note down the questions and we can
and
post
then we
it in the
can
group.
put it in the group only. Yeah, Guruji will answer.
Others can also benefit. Yeah. So I think who is the Purvapakshi for Kaumariji?
Yeah. Who is the one? We'll take somebody else.
Yeah, somebody else can, if you have any questions,
If you have any
or
question, can
Vipinji.
ask Komariji. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think no one has question. All the question are over.
There is one question, Pugalanji. That question is that purified mind is required for realization. This is the theme. And the next point, according to this theme, is that mind has to become free from cravings. And this can be done only with viveka. So the question that is arising in my mind is viveka, can viveka be the faculty, or can viveka be the identity of the mind as well, or it is only the buddhi that determines? Because the mind conceptualizes and the buddhi determines. So viveka is essentially the faculty of the buddhi, or it could be mind as well.
Mind is only Sankalpan.
So if I understood properly, Vipinji, you are asking about the intellect and
Yes, I'll rephrase my question, Kumariji.
yes, please.
We have been given to understand that buddhi determines and mind conceptualizes. And mind is full of so many things, but purified mind is required for realization, and that can happen only when mind becomes free from cravings. And this can happen only with viveka. So the question that has arisen out of this is that is viveka the faculty or the consequence of the work done by buddhi, or mind can also conceptualize and result in viveka? That is my question.
Okay, so the intellect free from dualities, which is the purified intellect, is the one we should aim at. So self-inquiry, in my understanding, is about purifying that intellect so that we are able to make the right decision. So also when we talk about buddhi is the decision maker, it also reminds me about this picture of Bhagavad Gita, where we have Arjuna being driven by Lord Krishna and the horses. The whole aim is to be able to have that pure intellect to guide the horses. Therefore, Krishna, Lord Krishna, is that purified intellect, whereas Arjuna is the disillusioned Jivatma. So this is the whole aim of self-inquiry, which is to get to that purified intellect so that the right decision is taken and not in the confused state, which is the intellect with all the dualities. One other practical, I think I took that example the other day, which is about finding the proof that we can understand we are having a confused mind at times is for the cravings which you mentioned, Vipinji, craving for coffee, thinking out of that coffee, I get peace, whereas that craving is in the mind, and when I analyze it, it's because when I have that first sip of coffee, that craving stops, the mind becomes silent momentarily, and I think that coffee is giving me that peace. Whereas the reality, the functioning is the mind has become at peace because I'm holding that coffee. Because the mind has become at peace, the pure awareness and the pure bliss is getting reflected, which is my true self. So from the theoretical diagram of the Bhagavad Gita plus the practical application, I think I will conclude that Buddhi is the decision maker, and the whole aim of Atma Vichara is to have the purified Buddhi.
So what I've been able to understand, Kumariji, is that you gave the analogy of Lord Krishna and the chariot and the horses, and you mentioned that purified intellect was represented by Lord Krishna. Is that right, if I understood you correctly?
Yes, Vipinji.
All right. And you said purified intellect is buddhi. But my question was that Guruji mentioned that purified mind is required for realization. So should I assume from what you said that intellect is always purified? And if it is always purified, then why are we talking about purified mind, which can be free from cravings only from viveka? So I'm slightly confused between purified intellect in itself. Is intellect purified by itself, or there is some reflection of the Brahman or Atman that keeps it purified all the time, and that is why it has the capacity to determine and decide? These are some of the questions that are coming in my mind, please.
I think the mind, when we refer to mind broadly, we are talking about manas, buddhi, ahankar, and chitta. And that buddhi, the aim is to make that part, these are all thoughts, but those thoughts associated with Atma Vichara should be, in my understanding, part of buddhi, which is called intellect in English, and therefore that part is the one we should keep purifying. We should keep, through Atma Vichara, being able to do the right thinking process, and that is the one being referred to as, once it is pure, it means it is without the cravings, it means we can take the right decision. But I'll ask others to contribute, please.
Yeah, just one question here. If I've understood and comprehended correctly what you said that mind can be purified by intellect, and intellect can be purified by Atma Vichara. if I've been able to comprehend correctly. Is that what you said?
A little bit different. I said mind is a group of thoughts which we have categorized into manas, buddhi, ahankar, and chitta. And the buddhi part in English is the intellect. And that is the part, those thoughts, which if we purify them, helps us towards self-realization.
Yes, Kamariji, that four parts which you have told, I think that brings in the clarity here. So, Vipinji, I think what Kamariji is trying to tell is in Vedanta, we have the term called Antahkarana. So, that is where we can really talk about mind and intellect as a separate thing, but otherwise, in general slang, mind and intellect are taken as one. So in Antahkarana, as Kaumariji has said, we have Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta. That is what. So these are four functions of mind. The Antahkarana is called as mind in English. So in that case, we have to say mind has four functions, not four parts. It has four functions. That single mind is doing a multitasking. So we'll take an example. Uh, Manas receives the sensory inputs. So I see there is a book kept in front of me. Manas has received the book through the eyes. It goes to the chitta, memory. Memory says these are all happening at lightning speed. Memory says, oh, this is a physics book. It went to the memory records and immediately recognized it as physics book. And then ego says, I like physics, I don't like physics, or this is my physics book, or this is not my physics book, something like that. A judgment, labeling, ego. And influenced by the ego, intellect says, yes, I want to study, I don't want to study. Or yes, I will, give it to my friend, I will not give it to my friend. Discrimination, decision making is done by the intellect. So what's happening here? Intellect is thoroughly corrupted by the ego because its ego comes first and then the intellect is a slave of ego. So there are four functions. That is what Kaumaraj is trying to tell. And yes, manas, which is just a receiving unit from the five sense organs, it is receiving the inputs and sending it to the memory. Memory will recognize them and then ego will label them and then intellect will take a decision based on them. That is how the whole Antahkarana is working at a lightning speed. So here when you say Viveka is a faculty of intellect, correct. And mind is not conceptualizing, mind is doing a lot of things like, it receives the inputs and then ego, there is a memory record and which is recognizing, and then there is an ego which is doing a lot of influencing stuff on the intellect. So this is how the whole thing is happening in our mind.
All right. So please let me recapitulate, Gayatri ji, what you said. Manas receives, memory recognizes, then ego plays its role, and the intellect finally decides.
Yes.
And intellect is corrupted for obvious reasons, and that is why all the problem.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to add something also on that. I think both of them, Kaumariji and Gayatriji, has mentioned the Antakaranas as a function because we have the Manas, Buddhi, Ahankar, and Chitta. So the intellect has the faculty to discriminate. So in Atma Vichara, we use the intellect because it is the decision making. So then what happens is that the mind, I would say the Manas, it does only Vikalpa and Sankalpa. Our manas is this function. It's vikalpa and sankalpa, thinking and doubting always. So through the proper atma vichara, the intellects get that clarity. So upon getting that clarity, then we develop that pure mind, the Shuddha Manas, which is called Shuddha Manas or Shuddha Buddhi, which leads us to the liberation. So all these four aspects, it's called, in fact, we call it as a upadi. These are the upadi of a jivatma. So we have to get rid of all these upadis. How to get rid of all these upadis? Because it's only through Atma Vichara, through the intellect. It's the only faculty which will be able to give us a Shuddha Manas. Because we have also the Ahankara, which always is the Mamakar and Ahankar. So the Chitta is the storehouse of everything. So by the proper Atma Vichara, the knowledge that we get that clarity of, then the whole become one, the whole Antakarana, because the Shuddha Manas, which is the one which connects us to the Brahman for a Jnani, this is what happened. Okay, that's my understanding of that.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful explanation. So Vipinji, it's quite simple. There are 4 functions, and what Sadguru does is the intellect, which is a slave of ego, he just removes that slavery. So his teachings, he is directly targeting our intellect, changing the programs there, and then our discrimination as we keep doing this self-inquiry, shravana-manana-nidhidhyasana, all these are happening at the intellect level. And the programs change and the slavery to the ego changes. And finally, the intellect becomes purified and intellect starts, intellect starts influencing the ego. It becomes the other way around. So that's a purified mind or purified intellect. In English, we cannot actually divide between mind and intellect. Only when we come into the Sanskrit part, we can understand clearly what each particular aspect of mind is doing.
All right. Okay.
I think we are on time, 1 hour. And any more clarification on this on these 2 talks? Which some other question, pending question, talk 10 and 11, before we close.
Gomati ji, are you there? You have been silent. Any questions? Anything that you need clarification?
Yeah, no, because it went into detail, no, so I need some time to think over it. So just listening to the discussion. So, yeah. So actually, this 5 types of pranas, no, the various pranas, no, some going upwards and downwards or something, no, that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, the downward movement is called as udana. It's all the faculty of excretion, and the prana is upward, and then there's a vyana which is around the body, full around the body, and the samana, it is at the abdomen region, and the udana is the thoracic region from the throat to the chest. These are all the parts of the pancha pranas.
Okay. So this is in the prana, this thing, no, pranamaya kosha.
Yes, it is in the pranamaya kosha level.
Yeah, that's. Thanks.
I don't know. Anyone want to add something on that, pranas?
Not on the Pancha Pranas, but there is something I wanted to, actually it reminded me of one of the songs composed by Adi Shankaracharya, the top 10 and 11. Anyone knows about that? Anyone knows to which I am referring?
Nirvana Shatakam. It's Nirvana Shatakam.
Yes. So Nirvana
that's
Shatakam,
my
the
favorite
first
too.
stanza, actually referred to exactly what Prabhuji says in talk 10 and 11. So if we have time, I can tell you very fast, what is it in the first 2 paragraphs, if anyone wants to.
Yeah, sure, you can go ahead.
5 minutes to 2 minutes more for you.
All right. So it goes like this. Mano buddhya hankar chitta ninaham na cha shrotrajive na cha grana netre na cha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham na cha prana sanjo na vaipanchavayu nava sapta dhatur nava panchakoshaha navakpani padam na chopasthapayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. So the first paragraph says, I am not the mind, the intellect, neither am I the senses, nor am I the Panchabhutas. I am the embodiment of eternal bliss. And the second one says, I am not the prana, nor its 5 components of air. I am neither the 7 basic elements of the body, nor the 5 layers in its manifest form. I am not my organs of speech, locomotion, procreation, or excretion. I am the embodiment of eternal bliss. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. I thought of sharing this with you.
Wow,
Very,
wonderful,
very nice.
Kamariji. Very, very
Very
nice.
nice. I've heard of this song actually. I've heard of it. Quite a famous song, no? I've heard of it. Nice, very nice.
Yes, it's one of Adi Shankaracharya's Nirvana Shatakam, and then there's Atma Shatakam also. So both are the same. So it's very famous.
What is the name of the
This
song?
is our national anthem, like our national Atma Jyoti Satsang national anthem. This song, Guruji's favorite song.
Yeah.
Nirvana Shatakam, Kaumatiji.
Okay.
Nirvana Shatakam. Yeah, Nirvana Shatakam.
Okay. Thank you.
So with that beautiful Nirvana Shatakam of Adi Shankaracharya, we'll close today's session. And anyone, somebody for next coordinator, next session?
Okay, that's a long silence. So if everybody
Yeah.
else is busy, I can be the coordinator.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
And now,
Kubalanji, closing play.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
now have the closing player to do.
Yeah.
Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudakshate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Nanu Naninbudu Nanalla Ideha Manabuddhi Nanalla Satchidanandatma Shivananunane Shivoham Shivoham Shivoham. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm pure consciousness, I'm Shiva Swarupi. Atma Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam, Satya Darshanam, Loka Samasta